everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that's going to help you become your best self. And today we're going to be talking about why you are judging yourself. I feel like a lot of times we do discuss not judging others and how we feel when we are judged by others, but never really spoken about us judging ourselves. But before we jump into that, I do want to remind you that I would love to hear from you, whether it's through an email or you can come find me on Instagram and send me a DM. I am at Sabrina Joy Perozo. And do not worry, go ahead and check the show notes below so you can figure out how to spell that, how to look me up. But I would love to hear from you. I feel like I've gotten a influx of people sending me emails and reaching out to me on Instagram, and I just love to hear from you guys. I want to become friends, and I would love to hear anything that you have to say, whether you just want to tell me some topic suggestions for the show, or just a general conversation just to get to know each other. So I have been appreciating that, and again, please continue to do so. So today we are talking about, what are you judging yourself about? And I just want you to know that today's episode is going to be more laid back, I think. And you might be thinking, well, a lot of your episodes are laid back, Sabrina. And well, yeah, because it's supposed to be me here having a real conversation with you. And I enjoy that so much. But, I just want to talk to you about something that is super close to my heart and that I think we all need to work on. And I don't think it's going to be as structured as it normally is. So I hope that you really enjoy this, and let's just talk about it, okay? So in regards to what are you judging yourself about? I judge myself a ton because it allows me to pick everything apart and always have a reason for why I can't do something, why I'm not good at something, and provides a distraction for me to focus on, that me judging myself, rather than understand why I am that way and what actually needs to be done about it. And this is just me being really honest and candid with you guys and letting you know these are the big reasons why I spend so much time judging myself. And I've been trying really hard to get off that train. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to break any bad habit. And this is really tough because I do suffer from being a people pleaser and a perfectionist, and those are not excuses. It's just part of the problem. But I'm working on it, and I know we're all here working on it. So I want you to know that I'm not here attacking you. However, I think it's a good reminder. It's a good reminder for every single one of us to understand that we spend too much freaking time judging ourselves. And I want you to know, I feel like this might become a rant, but I'm going to try really hard to not let it be that. So, a lot of times we judge ourselves so harshly because we want to be in control of as many things as possible. Control is so comforting. It's super comfy-wampy for me to be in control. It makes us feel like we know what's going to happen, and we don't have to worry as much about what is going to happen, which can lessen anxiety. And for me, I definitely suffer from anxiety a whole bunch. So by being in control of whatever situation experience that I'm currently going through, it makes me feel better. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that. And so when we spend time judging ourselves and really picking ourselves apart, again, we feel like we're in more control of who we are, what we're doing, and how we run our lives. But, we also just set ourselves up with these crazy high expectations that we really honestly know we won't match up with. But it's like us saying, why not? Let's just be crazy. Let's just keep on doing this, even though we know in some small recess in the back of our brain that we need to not be doing this, right? And, deep in your heart's like, hey, can you not do this? Okay, you're not listening. So it's so tough. We do have these high expectations, and we set ourselves up for failure. I feel like we really do, and I feel like you know that, and I feel like I know that. I do know that. I'm telling you, it's a fact. I do know that. But it's also a way for us to be in control of ourselves when we have these very specific expectations for how we should behave. How we should feel things, our emotions. Basically how our life should go. This is all super realistic, right? Right. So these self-made ideals we know we won't live up to create great opportunities to judge ourselves, and then the cycle goes on. It just continues to happen. So a lot of times it's control, it's expectations, and expectations are control because you're like, this and this and this needs to happen for this to happen, for me to be happy, for me to enjoy my life. Yeah. And it's tough. And I laugh because I struggle with it. I'm not laughing at anyone, just so you know. It's just I laugh at myself because it helps me to not take myself so seriously. There's definitely times in my life where I need to take myself seriously. But a lot of times I'm like, no, I just gotta laugh it off. Gotta understand that no one's perfect. Gotta move forward. And you gotta just keep it a little bit more chill. But yeah, so these self-made ideals, they're crappy. And we'll just continue in this like hamster wheel cycle of like, let's continue to just judge ourselves because it feels like it's working for us to get the things that we want. And yes, let me just take a moment to pause and like be like, yeah, it might be helping right now. You might see it through this lens of like, oh, it's working. Like it doesn't feel the greatest and I don't like love myself as much, but it's working. And yeah, maybe it's working right now, but wouldn't it be nice if it was working for you to get everything you want, including loving yourself, including being happy, including everything just being absolutely bubblegum pink fantastic? I think so. That's my personal opinion. And believe me, I lived a lot of my life where I feel like things would just line up and feel like they're going well. And I'm like, okay, happiness doesn't matter. I can pretend to be happy or let money and things and objects like create happiness in my life, but it begins to feel empty. It begins to feel like despite everything that you may have and despite how grateful you try your hardest to be, if you are doing these things for the wrong reasons or going about the wrong way and not really truly appreciating who you are, who God has created you to be, and just being happy, then it's all for nothing, really. I want you to know it's really all for nothing. Like, you need to be happy. You need to have that true, deep, honest happiness in your life for it to feel complete. And if you've been there where you feel like it's not complete because you don't have happiness, but you had everything else, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, and you're like, no, Sabrina, you're wrong, that's totally fine because you'll find out the hard way. And as I've talked about all the time, a lot of our mistakes and failures and just, different journeys we go on life that maybe people have warned us not to go down or just don't necessarily feel right, but we want to try it anyway. Those are the opportunities where we learn so much. And they're great. And they're transformational. And they're awesome. So, if you're like, no, you're wrong. And I'm like, that's cool. That's fine. You will be able to find your own truth soon enough. And it'll probably be a little different from mine and everyone else's. But it'll be yours. And then you can do that. So that's fine. We're all free to do what we want, right? Okay. So I want us to know, do we understand that spending so much time judging ourselves is basically being at war with ourselves? Do we get that? I feel like we don't. I feel like we don't because we just keep doing it, and we were like, wow, when are they going to learn that lesson? Oh, never? Okay, cool. Yeah, I just feel like we don't realize that we are actually at war with ourselves by continually bringing ourselves down on purpose with this judgment. It's like a truly bad habit. Like I mentioned before, bad habits are really hard to break. Spending so much time pointing out what we don't like about ourselves, our lives, and whatever season of life we are currently going through isn't productive. I hope you know that. I'm laughing because when I laugh, I've already talked about it earlier in the episode, but I'm really reflecting on these times wherein I just was like, no, it's, you gotta like be really super harsh on yourself. And then growing up, I had people that are super harsh on me. And it's just like, you just feel like that's just the way that it needs to be. But it's not, it's not. Yeah, it's not productive. It's not productive just to be nitpicking and pointing out all this stuff. You are really, this is going to hurt some people. I want you to prepare your your heart and your mind, but you are really just complaining. Yeah, you are You're just complaining. If there is no action in the direction of change with this type of commentary of, really spending so much time pointing out bad things and being super negative about ourselves, it's really just complaining. So let's be aware of that at least. And I know some people are going to be out there like, oh, I'm crushed. And me thinking about it, me saying it out loud, even in receiving it for myself, yeah, I'm kind of crushed too. I'm like, crap, man, dang. Oh, complaining. And I don't like complaining, right? I don't think anyone does. I mean, I'm sure like if you are complaining, it can feel really good to complain in the moment, right? Because you're just like letting things out. And I believe there is an episode where I talk about complaining versus venting. I believe there is. But if there's not and someone knows, I'll probably go back and check after this episode. But if there isn't and someone finds that information before I do, I will do that. But I'm pretty sure I did an episode talking about it. But anyway, I digress. Complaining sucks. No one likes complaining. No one likes to hear it. And a lot of times when you find yourself doing it and you like spiral down into complaining about everything else, because you know how you can get on a rant where you're like, well, this sucks and this sucks and this sucks. And they're like, oh, all these other things come up. When really you weren't thinking about those things. It's just kind of this like negative path that led you to those things, because that's what it does. It's like negative bias of like when you bring up a couple negative things, it's so easy to bring up everything else that's negative as opposed to like shifting to a positive thought. So if you spending so much time negatively judging yourself and nitpicking and pointing out everything wrong, you're really just complaining, especially if you're not enacting some change to become better at those things. So let's be aware of that. But we should also realize that when we spend the time and energy getting upset about others judging us and standing up for ourselves that way and being like, please don't judge me, we forget that this should also include the negative judgment we throw at ourselves on the regular. And we don't. We're just like, oh, don't judge me, or I don't like when people judge me, or everyone's judging me because this, that, and the other. And yeah, okay. Keep standing up for yourself, keep speaking out about that, and, know that it's wrong, but you have to also know that what you're doing to yourself is wrong. And you might be like, no, that's fine because no one knows about that. Yeah, okay. But you know about it, right? And a lot of us know that we're doing it to ourselves. So people might assume that you're doing it. Regardless, you just have to realize that, yeah, you're doing it to yourself. So it's like a little hypocritical for you to be like, oh, yeah, I don't like judgment on me, but I'm going to do it on myself. And I mean that in the most loving way. Like, we just got to get out of this habit. I'm here to convince you to get out of this habit of negatively judging yourself to the point where it's super unhelpful. Super unhelpful. Because, constructive criticism, yes, that's actually helpful. But that's different than berating yourself constantly for not meeting unrealistic expectations. Right? Right? Like, unrealistic expectations. I feel like I want to make a rap song about it. Like, unrealistic expectations are not cool. That's like more of a rap song from the 80s and the 90s, because that's when I was a child thriving. and that's my type of rap that I like. I also like Eminem. He's great. But yeah, so, okay. This negative judgment that you're passing on yourself is not constructive criticism. Constructive criticism really breaks down like what could be better, what was good, how you can feed on this, and how it could all be better in the end. But you're not sitting there dwelling in what was wrong and really nitpicking it and constantly bringing it up all the darn time. No, you're just, doing like very critical feedback that's helpful. You use it to become better. But again, with negative judgment, you're not actually using it to become better. You're just really finding an elaborate way for you to complain about yourself. So, yes, we need to stop overlooking the judgment we press on ourselves because this negatively impacts our self-esteem and how we feel about ourselves. And don't we want to feel better about ourselves? Okay, I know. I will probably say no too. I'll be like, no, it's fine. This is what I know. But this isn't what we should know. We should be able to push past this and understand that we can be better. We can love ourselves more. The more we love ourselves, the more we can love other people. I know that's a cliche, but it's true. A lot of cliches are true. Have you ever thought about that? And this one is for sure true. So I want you to love yourself more. I want to love myself more. And I want you to be able to love and care for people more because you want to do that. I want to do that, right? And that's what we do. And we can't do that unless we do it to ourselves, though. So, I know I normally do a set of tips in most of my episodes, and this episode will not be different, but these tips won't be groundbreaking tips. I feel like a lot of times I'll come up with tips and I'm like, oh yeah, these ones that like one or two that you have heard before, and other ones you haven't really thought about or haven't really heard, and you're like, oh, okay, like different, groundbreaking, Sabrina, amazing. But these will be more like a reminder-ish kind of thing and helpful to retrain your brain to lay off on the intense self-judgment because it's just not helpful. It's really not. Before we jump into the tips, I only have 3 of them. They're going to be very quick because we're wrapping up here, but I want you to know, again, going back to, shouldn't we love ourselves more? And you're like, no, because I'm fine where I am in life. But just think about how much better your life could be if you did love yourself more. That's usually what brings me back to wanting to love myself more because I think about how much better my life could be. And, this kind of hit me hard today because I don't remember whose story I was on, but I was tapping through and was asking all these questions about like, have you been in a breakup and have you broken someone else's heart and been in love and blah, blah, blah. But then at the end, I like little polls like that on IG. It's fun. But at the end, there was a question and it was like, do you love yourself? And it's like, yes or no. That's the poll. And I said no, right? Because I am trying to be honest. And it's hard. But that's my honest answer. Like I do, but I don't, right? I'm like in the middle. I feel like I'm more getting towards the yes than the no. But at least I'm not swimming in the no as much. So I do see that as progress. But it's hard because I don't love myself now. And it's funny because I would have loved myself like, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago. But I didn't even appreciate myself then. That's the sucky part that a lot of us go through where, you see all those memes about like, wow, like I thought I was fat during this time when really now I'd love to like look like that now. And I didn't appreciate myself then and all of these things. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to learn how to appreciate myself now and the journey that I continue to get on to be where I want, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, all of the things. So yeah, it's important. We really need to focus on judging ourselves less and loving ourselves more and becoming our best selves, and it all works together. So let's jump into the tips really quick. The first one is and this is going to help you like hopefully not judge yourself as much. Did I make that clear? I think so. The first one is come up with a more ideal version of yourself to live up to. Again, I've harped on high expectations for ourselves, but if we're able to come up with a more ideal version of ourselves to live up to, and our expectations are lower, when we do exceed those expectations, we'll be like, ooh, wow, good job. I'm proud of you. You're doing great. And I'm not saying that your expectations need to be like on the ground, but they should be lower. They should be lower so that you can have those moments where you get to appreciate you really pushing yourself over the limit, exceeding expectations, being awesome like you are. And it'll make it easier so that when rough times come up, you don't have to continue to live up to these high, unrealistic expectations and make yourself feel even worse in whatever like really tough time that you may be going through. I hope that makes sense. So come up with a more ideal version of yourself to live up to. The second tip is to be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself, learning something new, Be patient with yourself not fully understanding something. Be patient with yourself learning to love yourself and accepting that you're not there yet. Be patient with yourself and change and wanting to change and be different, dramatically different than who you are. And that takes a lot of work and energy and time. You just got to be more patient with yourself, because then you'll judge yourself less and understand that all the grace and forgiveness that you give to so many other people in your life, you are allowed to give that to yourself too. You really are. And I need you to know that. And just so you know, I am saying all these things to myself as well, because it needs to be done. So be patient with yourself. And the third one, I told you these would be quick. The third one is to change your personal rules for life. So maybe this one's groundbreaking. I don't know. Groundbreaking is like, I think I have a different definition than what someone else might have. But yeah, change your personal rules for your life. So this would be like not equating one behavior that would classify you as being a bad person or a good person. It's just like, bad people frown and good people smile. So you feel like you can only smile because you need to be a good person. That's not true. A lot of good people frown and are angry and have sad faces. It's okay. Life is flexible. We need to understand that life is flexible. So you don't have to have all of these like strict rules for yourself. That you can have rules for yourself. That's totally fine. But you don't need to have all of these super strict rules for yourself and that you have to live up to. Again, it feeds into expectations. And say that you have to abide by this, or you can't go after your dreams because your parents already told you what you're going to do with your life. Yeah, I know a lot of friends that are like that, that have had that happen to them, rather. And you can't be friends with this certain person because of this, that, and the other. You can't engage in this activity because it's terrible, or you've been told it's terrible, you're raised like that. Or it'll make you look bad or whatever. So just change your personal rules for your life, because it'll make it a little easier for you to just live your life and go through different experiences, live that journey more loosely with more flexibility, to just have fun and learn and grow and continually be on that road to become your best self. So I hope this was helpful, a helpful reminder sesh to treat yourself better, because that's what we all need, I think. So thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast. Again, with me, Sabrina. Again, please come say hi to me on Instagram. I'm at Sabrina Joy Barroso, or send me an email to realpositivegirlpodcast@gmail.com. I am trying to be a lot better about checking my email, like every day. So at least once a day. And I'm always checking my Instagram. So please, I hope I hear from you. But thank you so much for listening, downloading, and sharing the show. You're absolutely fantastic. Please do not hesitate to send me any topic suggestions, prayer requests, feedback, whatever you want. I'd love to hear from it. I'd love to hear about it from you. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good one, and I'll see you next time, okay? Bye, guys.